From EPAWA Weather Consulting, headquartered in North Whitehall, Pennsylvania, this is Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are those of the forecaster alone and may not reflect those of the staff of EPAWA Weather Consulting LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Now, without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
Hey, good Sunday morning to you. Another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, December 30th. Of course, we are nearing the end of 2018, and for some of you, you'll see good riddance to this year because it's been incredible amounts of rain, in some cases unprecedented rainfall. But we're happy to see 2018 end for that reason. But we will have to get another parting shot on the way out, it looks like, on New Year's Eve itself, and we're expecting some rain to move in. Kind of like an 8 to 9 hour period of rain, it looks like, and a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain across the entire region. And that comes in early, right around noon or early afternoon on New Year's Eve day, and then it continues into right about midnight or either side of midnight. So ending from southwest to northeast as that rain moves through. But it is rain from start to finish. And another parting shot, of course, before we leave 2018 and head into the new year. After this point, we're going to go to kind of a transitional week. We're in this up and down stuff, and we were looking at these long-range threats here as being rain and then a long break one. Then we had a system to our southeast that was going to remain well southeast of the area on Thursday and Friday. Now it's not going to remain southeast of the area, so it wasn't listed here. These changes are incredible. From we were just looking at this on Thursday, and it looked like there was nothing there, nothing to see here, everything staying southeast of the region, and now all of a sudden we have a system here to deal with on Thursday and in the Thursday-Friday time frame that might have some wintry implications. Okay, winter storm signal we listed between the 8th and 12th of the month. That we're going to leave there. And now this first week we expect to be a transitional week, kind of like an up and down, and you have to be thread the needle type stuff, and no clear-cut snow or rain signals. And if you have something, you might have a slop storm. I think that's still the case. It is beyond that. That's still in flux here, and this could certainly change. We have slightly below average, maybe slightly, going forward through the rest of the month. A lot of this is analog-based and climate model-based. Can the second week of January still be this mix up and down stuff? Yes, I think it certainly can. And if it is, and it doesn't end up slightly below average, we'll adapt to it. But I'm telling you right now, the models are once you get past 5 days or so, they start getting a little goofy. I mean, we were just doing this long range on Friday, and it didn't show anything for that system at the end of this week, which I'll get into in this video. So it can certainly happen. Okay, it can certainly happen that we can change around. All this changes in the stratosphere right now that are wreaking havoc on the models too. So a lot of different things going on. 2014, 2015 winter analog. I've talked about this for a long time. You can check tape on this. Go back about a month or so. I've been talking about at least over a month about how November 14 looked like this, and this is pretty much how it happened this year. Actually had a pre-Thanksgiving snowstorm that year, just like we did this year. And then December 2014 looked like this. It was warm. And we expected this. We expected it to be warm, but yet we get these, and I can clearly see, look, I understand everybody doesn't watch these videos. I understand not everybody wants to read the long range, even though we do it every Friday, but I'm starting to see a growing trend of people who just troll the Facebook comments, and instead of going through the information that we provide every single week and update every single week, and there are same people that are complaining about how we have paid services and we don't give things away from to the public for free, when we certainly do. This is one of those. I know you guys watching this video, you do it religiously, most of you, and understand this is one of the free products we provide every single week, and don't complain. But there are a few people that do. Look, I don't have time for that, really, and if this just happened yesterday, before I'd probably be a little bit more animated about it, like I was in the middle of the week when I was under my one of my daily video posts. People just decided to go viral on it about where's the snow. Well, if you watch these videos, you knew it wasn't coming in December, because we said December 2014, this was following a November 2014 that was very similar to this year, that December would be the same way. You're not going to get much snow through, much of any snow through the end of the year. And guess what? We didn't have any, and it was warm. So we knew this was coming. This isn't, So when you're coming and attacking us for there being no snow in December, we told you it wasn't going to be that just because you choose not to use the free sources. Use the free sources that we provide. This is not hard. If you want to complain about our paid services and they're the same people, at least use the free sources. Okay? Don't just come on. Otherwise, you're a troll and you'll be shown the door. Very simple. So here is the Madden-Julian Oscillation. This is an intraseasonal. Runs our patterns intraseasonally. So right now we're in a phase 5. That's best convection sitting right here. This is phase 5. What this does is wherever the best convection is, it gives you a poleward heat flux and allows it changes the amplification of the jets into different positions. So right now phase 5 is not an area where you want it to be. You want it to be further eastward toward the international date line over here. Kind of a phase 7, phase 8 look. And we're not there yet. I do think we get there eventually. Eventually. The models are still kind of disagreeing on that too. So you're going to see what a phase 5 does where we are right now. See? The models are showing a phase 5. Well, that's a milder pattern. I mean, milder relative to normal. This is not break out the short stuff. You know it looks like that. This is an anomaly. And this is also for the months of December, January, and February composite together. All 3 months averaged together. So this is not a paintbrush for January. But it's still milder in phase 5 and 6. We know that. These are milder phases, maritime continent, beginning of the Western Pacific. So it's expected to move through those warmer regions. And that's through the end of the year, maybe the first couple days of January. And then you get into phase 7. Phase 7 here is shown to be a slightly above average temperature configuration for January. But remember, this is not just for January. This is for December, January, and February. I can tell you in phase 7 in January, it does not look like this. So it looks colder. So it's a colder phase. And I'll show you that here in a second too. And of course, in any month, December, January, February, phase 8 is ideal, and that's where you get your cold and stormy weather. But the GEFS earlier this week was showing a very high amplitude of, it's taking this all the way up into way up here before. Now it's backed off a little bit, and now it's trying to take it instead. It's taking it through 5 and 6, and then into 7, which is fine. But then it starts to loop it around here like this. See that loop? Okay. Don't think that loop's correct. I don't. So you go into the European model look of the same time frame, takes it through a low amplitude, very low amplitude here, but it takes it through 5, 6, 7 pretty quickly, and then eventually 8, and into the circle of death. Now I'm hearing a lot of things about the circle of death here. It's not the Grim Reaper, folks. No, it's not. And I don't know why everybody's scared of this circle of death like it's a big deal. It just means that the Madden-Julian Oscillation has no real effect on the pattern. That's all it means. Okay? Tropical forcing doesn't really dictate the pattern if it's in the circle of death. That's all that means. Some of our biggest snowfalls occurred while we were in the circle of death. Matter of fact, the biggest snowfall of all time recorded in Harrisburg and Allentown, that was only a couple years ago. January 23rd, 2016. Over 30 inches of snow. Remember that one? Happened when we were in the circle of death. Blizzard in 96. Everybody hear of that one? Beginning of January 1996? Happened when we were in the circle of death. And if you want to look it up, go ahead. Be my guest. But I'm telling you, it was in the circle of death both times. Okay? So everybody's like, oh, you need a phase 8 here, phase 1, phase 2 for a big storm. Not necessarily. Sure, that's, promotes it. But, don't be afraid of the circle of death. If it does work like this, which I think it's going to be pretty close, it doesn't matter. If it's in the circle of death, this is still okay. So just remember, that just means that the tropical convection in the Pacific here, this, we go back to it, this tropical convection is going to be like nil. It won't really be dominant in any one particular area, and you're not going to have the help from the jet with that amplification. So going back to where I was here. And I want to get into what a phase 7 means in January. Remember I showed that previous image where it looked like it was slightly above average? Well, this is what a phase 7 looks like in January. Slightly below average, and I think we get there this month. So I'm keeping the long range for the January as a slightly below average month, -1 to -3 Fahrenheit. Departure from normal, okay? If we get to phase 8, it gets a little bit more pronounced. But phase 7 looks like this, and I think you might get there. It just might not be as early as we have in that first week, at the end of the first week, or going into the second week of January. It might actually be closer to the middle of the month where that happens. And if it does happen that way, whatever. Not a huge deal, and everybody's like, oh, half of winter's over. No, it's really not. Guess what? January 2015 did the same thing. You really didn't see any snow except for a snowstorm a week before Thanksgiving, just like this year. we had a snowstorm, and then we didn't have anything in December, nothing in the beginning of January, and then the middle of January onward, we had quite a bit of snow. You can make up for lost time in a hurry, and it can happen, okay? So just relax on that where's the snow thing, and I'm losing money, and as a snow contractor, it's coming. Okay, so pattern through early January is a little different on the GFS and the European model because of the differences in the Madden-Julian Oscillation, and we have slightly below average is showing here, right around even we have some periods here where it's going to be slightly below average, and Euro Ensemble showing the same thing. This is more of a classic Phase 7 look here. Cold pool here, and you got the warming up into Alaska, Western Canada. You have a cooler than average here, not as pronounced as it showed last week, but we have cooler than average here along the East Coast. And this has been fluctuating too. It's been showing warm, cold. So it's going to go back and forth, but I think the general idea is right, where the second week of January we see more of a transition toward cold versus warm. Well, we'll see. As we get to the end of the week, this is looking at the 13th here. This is a very good setup. A lot of people are like, oh man, we still got that fast Pacific zonal flow. Yeah, you do. And what I mean by that is, see the jets just going like this. Not a lot of amplification to that jet. Just a fast-moving west-east flow. But here, look at what you got going on here. You got to pay attention to other things. You got a cross-polar flow developing. You have an Aleutian low getting going here. So it leads to tell me that once you get past, this is showing the 06Z, the 14th. So it's actually the night of the 13th. That means that once you get this going here, this Aleutian low right here, and it gets in the proper position, you're going to have some amplification here. This promotes some troughiness in the eastern United States, and you get that cross-polar flow. And it's telling me that the second half of January, at the very least, even if it does delay, is going to be colder. Okay? So it's just a persevere for a little bit thing. And if you look at 2014, how it worked out in January 2015 and February, we started seeing that same thing developing here. It wasn't crazy cold. It was just in the Northeast. And it was mainly the second half of the month here, it started coming in. And then February just locked in and got brutal. This is brutal. And it's funny, if you look at the Weather Channel, which is owned by, or the WSI IBM, they come out with their winter forecast, and it looks a lot like they're buying into this 2015 deal now too. So, heard it here first, but guess what? They're buying into it too. I'm telling you, it's going to flip, all right? It's just going to take some time, and it requires a patience. I know not many have patience. They work for a living. I get it. All right, so here's with the stratospheric warming. I don't want to touch on this too much, other than to say it is happening. It is not modeled anymore. It is now happening. Now, the more the modeling comes into play is how does this downwell, the warming. Here's the warming right here. It's definitely happening. You get warming over the poles ongoing. It's observed, not modeled. Question is, how far does that downwell into the troposphere, and where? All right, there's questions about where it develops. It does it. The GFS is trying to cut it off here at the jet stream level, just above 500 millibar. A lot of different things. Does this downwell over the surface where it can help us out and bring us even more cold going into late January and February? I think it can. It's just a matter, but nobody really knows. So we know it's ongoing. I just wanted to show you this so you understand. The sudden stratospheric warming event is occurring, where those vortexes split and displace, and how they downwell to the troposphere where we live, as opposed to just being in the stratosphere, and where it exactly happens, and if that helps us at all. We don't know the answers to that yet. These are all still. We know it's happening. We can see it. It's happening. There's no two doubts about that. But it's going to take some time. Usually a 10 to maybe even 14 days. 10 to 14 days is the lag time for it to reach the troposphere if it does affect, and that would be take us toward the middle of January. So we have some time to look at that. We're just going to pay attention now. How does this downwell? All right, not does it hit. We know it's hitting. And I don't want to get too involved in that stratosphere thing here, because I'd just be guessing. Anybody that's telling you they know what's going to happen with this is full of it. Full of it. I don't care if they have a PhD. They're full of it. Now, when we get a week from now, we're sitting here looking at this next week, and things are a little bit more certain, and we can see how it's downwelling and the coupling and all that stuff. But once we can see that happening a week from now, then you can start paying attention to what people are saying about it, because it's no longer a guess. Right now, it's a guess. This is guessing. All right, it's just model projections. Now, winter storm Thursday into Friday. Where did this come from? All right. Well, this was a system that was expected to stay off the southeastern U.S. coastline. Most modeling now takes this on the eastern spine of the Appalachians, kind of up like here like this along I-95. Well, in that scenario, I didn't draw that right. It actually kind of cuts in a little bit. So it's right over I-95. kind of like this, tracks like this. So you would have, and the timing is different. This is the GFS this morning in the 6Z GFS now. But last night's 0Z had it as well. But this is showing it coming in early Thursday morning. European model brings it in Thursday evening or overnight, or Thursday evening when it's a little milder, so it's a rain system. GFS brings in a pretty good snowstorm here for the interior. And on the fringe areas, right in between here, Harrisburg to Allentown to northern New Jersey, starts off as snow and then goes to rain, maybe ending as a few flakes. Okay, that's verbatim the GFS. We're going to continue to monitor this here closely. I don't want to lean one way or another because if you look at the ensembles, which are run by the GFS and the European model, you run them out an additional 20 times on the GFS, an additional 50 times on the European model. They're both split decision. There's about half that say, yes, we're going to get some snow out of this, especially in the interior, about half on the GFS. And the same thing in the European model. About half are disagreeing with the European model that says rain and says, oh no, you're going to get some snow first at least. Or maybe some substantial snow in some cases. We're going to keep a close eye on this one. I think it's going to produce for somewhere. Just don't know where yet, and timing's going to be a difference. Of course, once the timing is narrowed down, I think we will have a better idea of what this is going to do. So stay tuned with this one. We're going to get into some model analysis with this in our forum and go from there. But just to summarize, New Year's Eve system brings rain start to finish between a half inch and 3/4 of an inch from early afternoon, right around noon or noon 1, 2, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And that goes through about midnight on either side of midnight. I don't think it's going to be much longer after midnight. But right around to the time the ball drops, you get wet. So bring an umbrella if you're going out for you have any New Year's Eve party plans. Not a concern about any winter precipitation. Question is going to be, when does the pattern change occur to a more sustainable, colder, and snowier pattern? That is still in question. And right now we're going to keep what we've had for a couple weeks and not change the timetable until it's imminent. I do think we're in a transition up and down week this week. We can have something perfectly timed like Thursday, like that system Thursday. Perfectly timed when you have to coincide with a colder air mass in there. Important thing to understand about this is it doesn't necessarily have to be perfectly timed. This is coming at a time when climatologically we're the coldest time of year. So when we see this, going back to that, where's that image at here? Where'd it go? There. When we see this here, it was like, oh, that's a Pacific zonal flow. That's horrible. Is it? It's January. It's the middle of January. It's the coldest time of the year. It doesn't take much. You don't have to be below average to get snow around here in January. You just need any marginal setup will still get you snow. Okay, and this is one of those marginal setups that we're talking about here. It's going to come down to timing, whether or not you get rain or snow or both. Okay, I do think you're going to have a storm, though, at the end of the week. So the pattern change is either going to happen at the end of the first week of January or it might wait to the middle of the month. There's still some questions with that, so we're going to continue to monitor this and see how it trends and, of course, update that as needed. But either way, it is coming. It's just a matter of when. And then we're watching this system for the end of the week for rain and snow, rain and or snow. And the next storm signal period between the 8th and 12th, we're going to leave there for now. I still like that period for something to produce as well. So a lot we covered here today. I hope you understand what's going on, the hows and whys of everything that's going on. Make sure we keep following along with us with this system. I do want to continue to monitor this very closely. I think this is something that needs to be watched, and I'm definitely not sold on any solution right now because the ensembles are all over the place. Yay or nay, or more rain versus snow, or snow versus rain. They're evenly split, so there's really nowhere I can lean right now. So I want to continue to monitor this, and so can you. In our premium forum, we'll continue discussing this up until the point at which the public will need a map, and then we'll release that publicly after that point. So we're going to continue to monitor it this week, and I hope you're joining us again next week, and we'll continue to follow when this pattern change actually occurs during the month of January. I do think it happens, just a matter of when. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchers. That's this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, December 30th. Join us again next week, and have a happy new year.